Welcome to Hawaiian IANDS. I'm your host, Shaun Lether. I am thrilled to welcome our very special guest and my new best friend, Oshara, who I met at the IANDS conference. While at the conference, we had an incredible shared spiritually transformative experience together, which many of you already know about, but we will share later during tonight's presentation about what that experience is, and even a little bit about what Seth has to say about it. So tonight, Oshara, the founder and president of the Seth House, will be sharing the profound spiritual intervention that saved her from suicide, as well as her other spiritual experiences, including her continued spiritual visitations and channelings from the higher beings of light. To learn more about Oshara and the Seth House, you can go to thesethhouse.org, and the link is in the chat. So welcome, Oshara. Why don't you begin by telling us a little about yourself and the Seth House, and then let's talk about your suicide attempt at 18.
Hello, Shaun. I love you. I am so glad to be here. We just met at the conference, and it was like gangbusters. The experiences we had, the talk we had, and boy, we can be awful when we get silly and giggly. It's just fantastic. So wonderful sharing that with you and getting to know you. And thank you for inviting me here. I'm really excited about being able to share some of these things, and I really appreciate that you invited me. And we talked about this for many hours, getting me psyched into doing this, because I'm not someone who is interviewed very much. And it's only this year that I started publicly started to tell my personal near-death experience. And now this is like the second interview recorded thing. So I'm just glad for this, and glad to be having this time with you and your lovely crew who I've been meeting here. You know, David, Susan, Loretta, and a cast of thousands. It's not just magic that makes this happen. These Zoom things. He's got people that are pushing the buttons and doing all the things. So it's a beautiful community that IANDS is bringing together all around the world to do these things, to communicate with people all over the world. And I love IANDS, and I'm just so grateful to have found this, and I'm getting more involved in this. So what do you want me to do next, Shaun?
Well, first of all, let's I'm letting in a few more. Yeah, okay. I want you to first explain who Seth is, and a brief overview of maybe what his message is, and then what the Seth House is, and then I'd like you to go back to the spiritual intervention that saved you from your suicide when you were 18.
Thank you. Okay, I love Seth, and a lot of people out there right now listening are familiar with Seth, and a lot aren't. So I'm just going to just lay it all on you, what Seth is. By the way, I've been reading Seth for about 42 years, since I was 21. So I'm 63, and this is amazing material. Seth speaks. Oh, is this going to be blurry? Hold on. There it is. Can you read it okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Seth was a higher being. We'll say higher being of love and light. He was an entity. He had many physical lives in many dimensions. Anyway, he spoke through Jane Roberts. Jane Roberts channeled Seth for about 20 years, and they came out together. They wrote about 45 books in 20 years. Amazing body of work and amazing information. Seth has been very influential on so many wonderful people, speakers, and here's another book of his. I think we're having a problem with the fuzz. It's okay. Nature of Personal Reality. Anyway, and there's another book, The Seth Material. So Seth Material, Seth Speaks, Nature of Personal Reality. Those would be the first three I would recommend if you want to go on a reading frenzy of Seth. Jane Roberts was a wonderful woman. I got some pictures of her. Oh, darn. Well, anyway, there she is at a typewriter. Here she is at an electric typewriter in her room, just upstairs. And here she is at a bookcase. So she was a beautiful, wonderful, sweet woman who Seth spoke through. Now, this is the one I want you to see. So what the Seth house is this is the building where Jane Roberts channeled most of the Seth books. So here's a picture.
Keep the photos by your face, and then they won't
Okay.
be blurry.
This is a picture
right below
of
your chin. There you go. Perfect, like that.
there we go. This is a picture of an ugly green building in Elmira, New York. And this is where Jane Roberts channeled most of the Seth books. I've been involved in this project for 7 years. I'm the founder and president of a nonprofit 501c3 that I started, that it's about preserving this building where all this happened. I am in this building right now. I'm right about, where am I? I'm right here. You can almost see me. I'm right in that little window right there, waving at you. But I think it's important that the Seth information is so important, and we can talk more about that. And this is where it happens. So we're trying to preserve the building where it happened and make this like a museum, like an open center, like just a very special place for people to come and to have events, and for it to be a place about healing and learning and love. So that's the Seth house. And it's here in Elmira, New York. We're restoring this building. It needs a lot of love, but we've been working on this for 7 years, fixing it up. And our 501c3 nonprofit just bought the building about 2 years ago. And we're just having a grand old time. We're just really happy. And hopefully in 2024, we'll be able to invite people in to enjoy and start having programs and gatherings and get-togethers. And we want to have a larger online presence too, so that we can facilitate discussion groups on Zoom all over the world. We've had some wonderful Zoom experiences talking about Seth, but we want to do even more and more things to help get Seth's information out there and bring people together to enjoy. And so that's Seth. We'll talk more about Seth as we go, and the Seth house, and just barely scratching the surface here, and love this.
Yeah, let's start with you now.
Me.
Back when you were 18.
Yes.
Back in Phoenix?
Yeah, Phoenix, Arizona.
So what was going on with you then?
I was having a miserable, rotten life. When this event happened, I was 18 years old, and I didn't have a good start in life. There wasn't a lot of love going on around me, or support, or things like that. It was kind of a wonky life. And I felt very suicidal for a few years, and really wasn't anyone to turn to and all that. Also, I was gay and still am. And in 1978, gay wasn't like as popular as it seems to be today. And so I was very isolated, alone, and I'd been dealing with suicidal ideation, like I said, a few years. And one day, it just got very, very horrible. And I'm sure everybody out there who has dealt with suicidal thoughts knows how bad it can be. And I just did not believe I would be loved. I didn't believe I could get my life started. I just wanted the pain to end. I wasn't thinking about an afterlife. I was only thinking, it's too much pain. I want it to stop. I always was spiritually inclined, but I wasn't thinking about it that day. I was thinking, just end my life. So I got a hold of a gun, and first I practiced with it a little bit without the bullets in it. And it's like, okay, I think I can do this. And then I wrote my suicide note. I was gonna, so I put the bullets in the gun, and I turned out all the lights in the room, and I had the suicide note, and I had the gun, and I turned out the lights, and I was sitting there. And then I I brought the gun to my head, and I was about to pull the trigger. I mean, no question, I was about to pull the trigger, and something happened. Huge happened. It's the room exploded in light. It was just light, and I was infused with love. Love like I'd never known before, love like I'd never felt or experienced before. It was love infusion, and there was this huge presence all around me, with me. And I don't try to claim that I know what the presence was, except it was absolute love, absolutely there for me. And this light, it felt like I was in a way taken out of myself. It was huge. And the voice spoke to me. The voice spoke to me, and I'll never forget these words. It said, "You're a part of me as I'm a part of you, and I need you as much as you need me." And with that, I felt the whole oneness of life, that as far as life goes, as far as the universe goes, everything is a part of everything. Everyone is a part of everyone. I mean, from the smallest particle, everything, and that nothing in this equation of life and the universe and the oneness can be taken out of it. That we're all part of each other. We all need each other. I really felt this. I really heard this. I really experienced this. This happened to me. Shaun?
Beautiful. So in Hawaii, it is Pride Festival, which I actually didn't even think about when we decided to do this.
Gay
So why
pride,
don't,
yes.
yeah. In Hawaii, it's at a different time of year because everybody's busy in June on the mainland. So this way people come to Hawaii. So it was funny. I didn't think about that until this weekend. And so why don't you talk a little bit about that? Like, because being gay was part of what was causing you distress. And so what did the beings of light, what did they tell you about that? How did they make you feel about that?
Well, it went on from there, and also too, with the gay thing. A statistic I'd heard back in the 70s is that one of the highest suicide rates there was gay teens. That of all the statistics, the horrible, sad statistics they do about who takes their own life, gay teenagers was really high up there back in that time. And why wouldn't it be? I mean, all religious programming was so anti-gay. It was crazy. We're all going to hell. God doesn't love you and all this shit. And the media, you didn't see gay people in the media. And it was just in 1978, Phoenix, Arizona, it wasn't the thing. So I was like, no one will ever love me. I'll never find love, all that kind of stuff. And you kind of don't want to hang in there with that. I think that's one of the highest causes of suicide too, is thinking the deprivation of love and believing it'll never change. That's part of what takes people to suicide, but how it is will never change. It's not true. And if anybody's contemplating that, I want to guarantee everything changes. And let me go back to what happened in that room and that experience, because it goes on from there to answer some of your question too. So I had this experience, the love and the light and the words and the oneness. And as you can imagine, that wasn't what I was, I thought I was just going to end my life. And then suddenly this huge intervention, spiritual intervention, this experience happens to me. And I am infused with this energy. It's like, and so obviously I put the gun down and I'm like in a whole different dimension of being. This presence is here. I'm in the oneness. I'm getting the pure picture of what life is, that we're all part of each other. I'm not isolated and alone. And there's this huge loving infusion of, that really is what this life is. So I got this whole different feeling, and I'm sitting there. And the thing is that happened to me is that this energy, this sense of buzzing, practically, this frequency stayed with me for 3 days. For 3 days, I also felt that that presence stayed with me. Like I was under observation, like anybody who tried to kill themselves, maybe they'd put them under protective custody or observation for a little while, make sure they're okay. This is really what was going on. So for 3 days, I'm in this house and I'm feeling this frequency, and I'm also feeling the presence is still here. And also another element that I felt like I could talk to, I don't want to get too detailed, but there was conversation happening where I could talk about what was going on with me. I could feel these presences. I could hear stuff coming back, answers. And one of the things that I'd mentioned to you that is part of the, here, I'll just go, anyway, so this was going on for a few days. And there's one specific conversation I had, like sitting in a folding chair outside. I remember this, and I'm sitting there and I'm starting to just ask some random questions. And I knew this gay thing was going on in me, but I was afraid. And my thought was, hey, if God says no, then it's no, like, okay, I'll just be, totally isolated and alone and no love for the rest of my life. If gay's bad, I won't do that. But here's what happened. So I sat there and I wanted to ask about it. Like I said, I was getting answers to every question and all kinds of questions. So I kind of had this idea in mind of a series of questions where I don't actually say I'm having these feelings. I'm just kind of asking about the topic, like, oh, what do you think of this social issue? And then I felt an answer come back. What do you think of this thing? And then I said, what do you think about homosexuality? And it happened again, this huge infusion of love, this feeling, this huge expansive feeling of love, and the voice saying, yes, you are, and it's wonderful. And that changed everything too. When you get that answer from a higher source, it doesn't matter what any human being says about it for the rest of my life. I know from this source and from this love that, yes, I'm gay, and yes, it's wonderful. That's it. And I can hear all the controversy that might have been going on back in the day, but it didn't faze me anymore. I knew that my heart was good, my love was good, and universally speaking, yeah, it's wonderful. So that was that experience, that part of it too. So hey, Shaun.
So you've been having these beings speaking to you throughout your life.
I've had in my life from childhood certain really remarkable, interesting visitations. I remember of several very vivid times where some of these beings came to me and talked. And I think we all have these interactions to varying degrees, whether or not we suddenly go, hey, wait a minute, that happened when I was 4. That's not normal. Good. Or 4 or 8, or just these encounters that now that that yes, and it was meaningful, different experiences. Yes.
Yeah, and at some point we realize it's not us, that we actually really do have this higher guidance system.
And it's not the physical humans, it's these non-physical beings that are kind of shaped differently or look different if you do see them. And there's this different feeling coming from them. And then, like, as we are now in our adult years, we realize, oh, these are loving spiritual beings that are checking in with us and have been. And I think it happens a lot more than we realize, sometimes in our sleep state, sometimes in all kinds of altered states. But that's another thing I got out of my near-death experience when I was 18, is that this was a huge thing, that everyone is loved, everyone is watched over, cared for, and guided through their lives. Everyone is this important. That was another huge part of it too. Everyone, this whole reality, this whole thing about lifetimes and living, it's so meaningful that we're here and we're all being watched over and monitored and guided and helped through this process of having a physical life. It really is this important. We all are. It really is.
So you started listening to the beings. Why don't you talk a little bit about, so what happened after that? When did you actually start channeling?
Okay, now we're talking about the rest of my life. There's lots of things that have happened since then. And one thing I want to say too is that event happened when I was 18 that intervened with the suicide, but I still went on to have a lot of depression in my life, a lot of suicidal feelings, a lot of loneliness that I've had to continue to overcome over the years. And part of, well, also after that experience I had at 18, about a month later, I found Dr. Raymond Moody's book, Life After Life. And actually it was a Reader's Digest condensed version of that book. And I'm reading it and it's like, that happened to me, the love, the light, all these things I'm reading about near-death experiences. It's like, that's what happened. So within a month, I was able to put it in that context. Thank you, Dr. Moody. And I want to say too that Seth talks a lot about, I'm not going to bother showing you the book. Seth talks a lot about the afterlife. And so in 78, I got that experience and Raymond Moody's books and really was on a gung-ho finding books and researching things. And when I was 21, that's when I found the Seth books. And that just opened a whole huge world. One thing is I also found Seth discussion groups where people get together in people's homes and just discuss these books chapter at a time or whatever. So being able to study, in this case, the first book I studied was Nature of Personal Reality. It helped me with healing a lot of the suicidal things, because a lot of what Seth is doing is telling you to examine the contents of your conscious mind and make changes. And he gives these tools and these ideas for how to change our minds, where we're wrong in some of the belief systems we have, where we're wrong in low self-esteem. He's really about helping us, healing our minds, healing our lives, and helping us get it together. We don't need the limitations that society has been living under. Here's a quote from Seth. Here it is. You create your own reality. You create your own reality. You can't see it, believe it anyway. He also says stuff like, if it's not fun, stop doing it. Here's a good one. I'll just read it to you. Suffering is not good for the soul unless it teaches you how to stop suffering.
You know what? I want to, so somebody just asked an important question. What is Seth?
Seth is a huge, expansive being who's very loving. He channeled through Jane Roberts, a woman named Jane Roberts, who lived from 1929 to 1984. She died in 1984, channeled Seth for 20 years. From 1963 till her passing in 1984, 20 years, Jane Roberts channeled Seth. They have 45 books out. All of these books are still in print. They've sold nearly 8 million copies and translated into over a dozen languages. So Seth was one of the biggest, most famous channeled being ever. As a matter of fact, you may have heard of Abraham Hicks. Esther and Jerry Hicks were reading Seth Speaks and wanting to learn how to channel. And they did. They were reading Seth Speaks when she erupted in her channeling career. And also the very first time Esther Hicks channeled Abraham publicly, was at a Seth conference in Austin, Texas. So she, much to her credit, and Jerry as well, is they give plenty of credit to Seth for being their inspiration. And they often say very good things about Seth. So a lot of people who are channeling today find that Seth is an inspiration, a hero, and someone they look up to. And so you should too. It's Seth tells us what the greater reality is, what kind of cosmic universe we're living in. And the thing too is before Raymond Moody wrote his breakthrough book, Life After Life, Seth was talking about the afterlife, and it jives, near-death experiences and all these amazing experiences that people have had in spiritual enlightening experiences and near-death experiences. All those things echo exactly what Seth was telling us life was all about and what non-physical reality was all about. So if you want to learn more about afterlife experiences, and Seth speaks, there's a few chapters in here where he goes into great length about what happens in between lives, before life, after, during, the choices we have that we can make of where do we go after we do physical reality. And we kind of got what we needed to learn here. We can go into a lot of different directions after this life. I won't ruin the surprise for you, but read Seth Speaks and find out more for yourself. Yeah.
I'm going to ask another question. Yeah, because, normally we do the questions at the end, but when they come through, if they're relevant, we'll do it now. So a really good question is Seth is referred to as a male. Was Seth a male? Is he a male? Is it because it was 1978 that we're talking about he?
Seth did specify that he had lived many female and male lives in different dimensions, times, and histories. And also it kind of is more than just he's a being. In a way, there's a sense of, you've heard the term Oversoul. An Oversoul is like a collection of souls. Like we're all part of a greater conglomeration of souls. Like there's no actual one and only one soul, person, individual. We're part of a family of consciousness. We're part of a kind of a cluster soul. So Seth was speaking as a unified collective of souls, which is why so much wisdom is coming. It's not just one little you or little me in a body. It's a collective soul. And it could be called an oversoul, or he used the term entity, like a larger power block of soul energy and consciousness and awareness and wisdom that was speaking through Jane Roberts, who was part of that oversoul. So in a way, if you really want to channel something higher and awesome, channel your oversoul, because it's a collection of many souls and many beings. And there's so much more to you than you know. You have probable selves, but that'll get you wacky in the head, that there are so many yous that are having so many experiences and expressions and going down different paths. This is where quantum physics is talking about, when you come to a decision point in your life, you can go this way or that way. Seth is saying you don't just go one way and that's it. Both things happen. You are living at probable selves, so that every possible decision you make can be expressed and experienced, and you can take these different paths, and then it divides again. So maybe we're only able to, from where we are, know one track of what our experience was looking back and forward, but there really are many tracks of exploration that the greater you is exploring in this physical reality. That's a little wacky to take in. If you don't like it, forget about it. We'll talk about other stuff, but get ready, because Seth does say this is how it works. So when you think, gee, I made this decision, I want this way, I wonder what if I would have done this instead. It did happen. Another part of you did take that path, and that exploration did get to take place. So this is like deep science, Seth, kind of. And it sounds like actually a good way to run a universe, because we really do get to experience a lot more life this way, that all the possible paths really do get to be explored. Ask me more. I love
I love that you just actually said that, because one of the biggest questions, we have this life after death group on Facebook that has like 350,000 people. And one of the biggest questions is how can, if our loved ones, if we meet them on the other side, if they're waiting to greet us, how can they also be reincarnated? And it's one of the questions that I asked my mom, who passed on, and she explained it to me actually pretty much the same as you just did. So maybe using what you know from Seth and that higher self, what do you have to say about that?
Oh, thank you. And more people are finding this out in near-death experience and other investigations. Seth said it so well, but other people have tried to say this too. And there's like a film called What the Bleep Do We Know, where they try to explore some of that. But yeah, that really starts to boggle the imagination, but it works. So that the portion of me that loves the portion of someone else, that love is sacred, and that love does continue, that connection continues. Even if, like you're saying, that person, some aspect of that person may be called and go on to reincarnate in this or other worlds, love is a very sacred thing, and the bond of love is eternal. But as we grow and expand, there's parts of me, you, that will need to explore other things, other relationships, other paths, other realities, and all of it gets to happen, and it's working. So the sacred love is real, and you do continue in those relationships as much as you want, and the other paths and the other opportunities for life expression are given too also. It really is amazing stuff, and good idea.
And Seth would say it's all going on at once. It's not linear.
Oh, you had to throw that into timeless universe, that everything is happening at once. And once you start to think about it, this took me, 40 years of reading this stuff, and I had to go in stages of being able to, like, wait a minute, I can't quite get this timeless thing. And then I proved it to myself intellectually. I mean, having a psychic premonition requires a timeless universe. How can I know? Let's take an extreme example. A mother starts getting this frantic thing. Oh, my baby in the next room. I have to run in there and grab her and take her out. I got a bad feeling. So she runs in, grabs the baby, gets out of the room just as the chandelier mysteriously falls on the crib. Something like that. Okay, that's an extreme. How do we go into a future if time is just a tick, 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 one line, only that, like, okay, we got stuff going on here, but nothing's happening over here, and we're making it up as we go? There has to be a timeless universe for something like a premonition to happen, for deja vu to happen. It has to be timeless, that, okay, our focus is in the here and now, or at least that's a meditation practice. Be here now. Okay, I'm in the now. We seem to be in the now, but everything is, we're having a funny little experiment with time in this dimension where we're getting linear time. When you're not doing this reality, it feels different. It's kind of like, one example I've heard is like, okay, we're reading a book, one page at a time, this page, this page, this page. In the greater universe, they see the whole book and they go, this is timeless. The whole story is in an easy package from beginning to end, but there's no end. There's infinite creativity. And you see too, and help me with this, Shaun, if you want to jump in, but we can go to other times. We can go to other places in our consciousness. We can, and Seth said that we can learn to do this. We can become free in time. We can visit other realities physically and time-wise. So time's a different experience in other realities, obviously. But it really is true. And give yourself as long as you need to wrap your head around it. But as soon as you kind of start to believe it or experiencing it, like so many people who've done afterlife experiences, near death, etc. That's the first thing, one of the first things they say is time's different there. I was able to see my entire lifetime in a flash. I was able to feel what other people were feeling in a flash. I could see my other lives as if I was living them now. This is an amazing power, meaning we can really know ourselves in all our dimensional expressions. And this is our gift to rediscover, when we're ready. Right now, we're so focused on page by page in this book of life, but we will get to see how it fits in a greater picture, in a greater scheme of things, and how it fits in with other people's realities as well. How's that, Shaun?
That's great.
Love
So,
it.
I have to ask, okay, do you think that there is another reality where you actually did pull the trigger?
Yes. Yeah.
And you've thought about that?
Yeah, there has to be. And that was a moment where realities went two different directions, that a part of me was able to retire from this life and had the experience of it only lasting 18 years, and that had a place in the universal expression of myself and all that is. And this part of me was the part that elected to have a full life, and I am so grateful that I signed up for a full incarnation of these 63 years so far, and I want more. I want more. And I've done a lot of wonderful things in my life. And this way, again, I want to encourage people, stay alive, choose life, because when you get through these hard bits, there's so much. I am glad for this life I've lived. It continued to be a struggle and painful, and there wasn't love. And I mean, yeah, of course there's been love, but challenges in life, of course, and still depression and stuff like that. But I'm so glad I kept choosing life and having more life experience. Look at me now. I am the president of a 501c3 to honor my favorite author, and I get to talk to people about these experiences of reality, and I get to feel like I'm helping people. I mean, I'm so blessed and so fortunate. This is really good. So physical reality, it's the good stuff. Stay with it, and more will be revealed. I think we're living in a really important, fantastic time in human history too, and this is really a good time to sign up for being physical, because so much change is happening in our collective consciousness with spiritual awareness and becoming unlimited in many ways, and growing together and creating a new world. This is one of the most exciting times we could have ever signed up for. So keep your membership and live it up to the fullest. Yes.
I love that you said all that. And it's probably good right now to just mention to everybody that it's not all unicorns and rainbows after you had this intervention. Share a little bit about that, because so many people are struggling, and it's not all unicorns and rainbows. You have lots of wonderful times, but you've had struggles along the way.
I think there's a great gift in having a near-death experience, and so many people have had it have said, yes, it did change things. It cleared up a lot of limiting beliefs, or reassured them about love and the afterlife and things like that. But we do go on to have a human life, and we signed up for this for a lot of reasons, the challenges and the growth, and maybe to do certain things we want to do in our lives that are helping our fellow humans, and staying committed to that task about having this life. And yeah, it's not unicorns and rainbows unless you're in the unicorn community or in the rainbow community. Some of us, we're in the human world, so we're doing something different in this path. But really, go within, just as echoing in my head, going within. This is the most important thing we all need to do. We can read spiritual books or watch inspiring videos on YouTube, but we can going within. This is where it's all happening, to get back in touch with our soul essence and our connection with all that is, or the higher self, whatever you want to call it, God, to connect with these higher beings of love and light. Seth also said, if you ever have ask for help. He said that there will always be a helping hand. So if you're down and out, ask for help. One of my favorite spiritual practices is to just talk right out loud, sometimes kvetching and griping and like na 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 na, and listening. Sometimes you get a little boggled in our head, but if we talk to God or our angels or whatever, loved ones, talk out loud and listen, you can start to feel a dialogue happening. And maybe this is kind of part of a piece of channeling too. When we start to feel the dialogue going back and forth, you start talking, you start listening, you start feeling answers coming to your question. The spirit beings want to help. And if we start engaging with them this way, a lot of good things can open up and we can start hearing and feeling, getting energy, saying the 3 magic words, help me God, work. And stay focused with it, receive the help. Every spiral I've ever been in, I pulled out of. Every low mood, I managed to come back and get stabilized again. And a lot of it, though, for a lot of people is a spiritual practice that might be talk to your source, talk to your oversoul entity. The list goes on of what you can talk to. This is how much conversation you can have. There's all these elements of spirit you can talk to and listen and feel. It is going within, it is opening up new channels in yourself, but I think we're all channels because we're all interconnected and there are so many connections. And that's what's so exciting right now is people are having these breakthroughs in spirituality that include channeling or direct communication with other beings. I mean, this is the game changer, is that people are having these direct communications and these direct experiences. This is what's changing life on earth and everyone. And that's wonderful. Let's do this.
Yes. So well said. And I think that really what is so important is the listening part, because so many of us are talking, but we're not listening and we don't even realize the messages are coming. Because we're always supported. And that's what I love about what you share. And what I know is that we have so much help available to the other side, from the other side, if we're just listening, if we're quiet enough to listen.
And you know what? They interrupt. And they know just when to interrupt too. And it's okay, because sometimes you need to talk it out. If you're just all quiet and you don't say anything and your mind gets gobbled, start talking. And I would pace back and forth too and do hand gestures, and they know how to interrupt and then I'll start saying what they're saying to me. Start playing with this, folks. Just start playing with it. And don't worry, nobody, if it's a healing modality, do it. Don't worry, people might laugh at me if they find out I'm talking to myself. Do it. Your angels are like, thank God she's talking. But they have a way of interrupting too. Like I might be talking and then I'll be the one saying the answer that comes back to me and say, oh, wait, that made sense. That didn't come from me. Keep going and start playing with it. You're playing with your consciousness. You're playing with your connection to spirit. Do it. Do it. Nothing to lose, everything to gain. Do it.
Yeah. So this is probably a good time for us to share, speaking about our guides, and a little bit of how we met. And so many of you know, many of you have heard this story, and forgive me because you're going to hear it for a long time because it is so cool. Mind. I have experienced so many spiritually transformative experiences, but not this kind of experience that Oshara and I got to experience at the conference. So I'll share a little bit about our story or how we met, and then you can share. And then I do want to know what Seth says about that. And so anyway, and then actually we'll bring Venus on, because Venus is my witness that this occurred.
You can back me up on
get ready, Venus. Get ready, Venus.
I can believe Venus. Yes, she's
right. She's me. I'm a little questionable.
But when you brought Venus in, I was like, oh my God, it must be true.
Yeah. Yeah. So I will.
And I've never had anything like this happen. But anyway, I'll be quiet. Let you tell it, because you blow me away. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I was blown away. So, okay. So so you all know we had the IANDS conference at the beginning of September, and I went early. I had never been to DC. I'd never been to a live IANDS conference, actually, and I was so excited. So anyway, Venus and I'm going to bring you on, Venus. Is that okay, Venus, to add you into this? Okay.
Hey,
So
Venus. Yay.
and let me ask you, so you can unmute, so you can chime in here, Venus. So, okay. So anyway, I got there Friday. Venus came down from Boston on Friday before the conference. Saturday morning, I see Oshara at the North Tower for everyone that was there by the elevator. And she's just standing there, and something told me she is there for the IANDS conference. And we met gazes, we saw each other, we acknowledged each other, but we didn't talk or anything like you would normally. So this was Saturday, and she's just hanging out by the elevator. So then again, Sunday, I go by the elevator again, and there's Oshara hanging out by the elevator. And again, it's like when you catch eyes with somebody and you see them, but you don't say hi, you don't talk, but you do acknowledge each other. So this was Saturday or Sunday. So it happened Saturday, then Sunday. So then Monday, Venus and I are walking there to the same area by this elevator. And I pointed out to Venus, I'm like, she's here for the conference. She came early too. And Venus saw her, which I'll let Venus confirm. Well, so on Wednesday, I gave one of my talks to the group leaders, and Oshara came to the talk, and we finally got to meet, and I'm like, I knew you were here for the conference. I've been seeing you since Saturday. Well, Oshara said, I just got here on Tuesday. And I have to say, she gave me this little bit strange look, like, what are you talking about? And so many of you may have heard what's called biolocating. And this is something that many of us, I think all of us, can do. We just aren't necessarily aware that we're doing it. But what is so wild is when somebody sees us doing it. And then what's even more wild is when we have another witness, Yeah. So Venus, tell everybody what you experienced. And that was like Sunday or Monday that I pointed her out to you. Yet she didn't arrive till Tuesday. So
right, you had seen her twice, and I didn't catch her till the second time, and you pointed her out, and I just looked over it on the side of my eye. Okay, yes, I got enough information. This woman's here for the IANDS conference, but she's by the elevators that is across the hall from us. We won't be going in the same cars. Okay, when I walked up to you and Oshara later on, and she's saying she just came Tuesday, I'm going, but I turned to Shaun, but I had seen her here earlier. But one thing that I've been wondering ever since, both times she's by the elevators, she never pressed the button.
well, she'll be doing that for the next conference. She will have mastered pressing buttons. But so I know of that as biolocating, but people astral project and all that stuff. But it's just not very often that you actually see somebody. So what do you think about that, Oshara? And what do you think Seth says about that?
Now, and I gotta say, we gotta say something, Venus, or no?
Go ahead.
This blew me away. Like at first I'm hearing this, and then I'm like, now Seth says, okay, the answer to everything can start with Seth says. He says when we project our consciousness all the time. We often don't know we're doing it, but nonetheless, we're doing it a lot more than we realize. Some people are able to pick up on projections of consciousness. We have astral projections, out-of-body experiences, etc. But we can travel now. And during that time that he was mentioning, having these sightings, I was preparing for the trip, and all I could think about was the trip and going there. And my sleep patterns were disturbed too. I was sleeping during the day and night and up. So I was down, up, sleeping, awake, not thinking about the event, getting ready. So it wouldn't surprise me if I projected my consciousness. Now, I don't remember those 2 days standing at the elevator like, oh, I did it. I projected my consciousness. But we are doing that. We are sending parts of ourselves out there. And I was very much focused on this. Funny thing about the elevators, I had some of the best times at the event in the elevators. Because I was like, you get in an elevator, you have like less than a minute with someone to talk to. And I had some of the best experiences of my life going up and down the elevators, talking with people, really connecting, seeing someone again, then saying, I'll see you later. Next time, I'm just going to spend the entire event in the elevator because was where the action was. And the joke we made, like, no wonder I was standing outside the elevator. I didn't have the finger to push the button. I was just standing there going, I love elevators. They just social occasion. But I believe you guys. You know, at first I had to kind of grapple with this. Like you were seeing a
Right. You gave me that little look like, okay.
Yeah.
Is he a little mental?
No, I never thought that. That was the funny thing. As soon as we met, it was like, I love this guy. I mean, we connected instantly. You didn't tell me about this for a little while. So we're like talk, laugh. We were, laughing and horrible. It's like this instant connection. And then a little later, you told me about, I saw you here, I saw you there. And I'm like, wait, I wasn't here. But I believe you. That's the weird thing. You saw me here, I wasn't here. You saw me here, I believe you. What does that mean? And then, yes, my eyes are going like, we got to talk about
And
this.
that's why I love that I have a witness too.
Venus,
But
that
Venus saw you
there.
as well.
And then when you came in and you were telling me, yes, I saw you, and I was dressed like an outfit that I had apparently. I think you said that what the outfit I was wearing was an outfit I wore half the time I was there.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I didn't come naked. I'm glad I thought to bring something.
You were not naked. You were not in your nightgown.
I was
You were fully dressed, just hanging out by the elevator. And it's so weird because as I replay it in my mind, there was a connection, but there was normally you say hi to people and you talk, and we didn't have that, but there was still a connection. Yes. Yeah.
Like
and it's cool. And to me, that I think the thing again that is so cool is I know that we all do this, and I know, but how often does somebody see us doing it, catch us? And how often does somebody then have another witness who also sees it? And so if that doesn't get you guys all to sign up for the conference next year and go early, because maybe by next year, Oshara will have perfected how to ride the elevator as you biolocate.
And you can too. We'll have a whole workshop on it where we can all go and learn to bilocate. And why just bilocate? We can trilocate. Let's really get around frequent flyer miles and all that. But we do projector consciousness. So it's like trying to wrap our heads around this is a natural part of the soul's ability to travel and to meet people I'm going to meet. I like this. These are abilities of the soul that we're remastering in this dimension.
Yeah. So So wants to know what you are wearing near the elevator. And is it something that what's funny is I don't remember exactly what you were wearing, but you were dressed like a normal conference person. And I do think so that it was very similar to what she actually did wear when she shows up. Do you remember, Venus, what she was wearing?
It was the colorful thing, I thought. Are you muted, Venus?
Unmute. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. The only difference I noticed in your clothing was the color of your sweater or your outer shirt. Because when we didn't speak, it was a darker color. And when I actually saw you, you had something a lighter color. But what really grabbed me was your hair was in the same hairstyle. And usually, you know, every day or two, we put a different barrette or we brush it over to the side. But the hairstyle was the same. And the position you were standing at was the same. How's it we could come back on 2 different occasions and find you in the same location adjacent from the elevator is what I'm still scratching my head about.
Right. And the fact that we saw each other, but we
Connected
didn't.
without talking. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Only vision.
Yeah. It's all I know is I have had every spiritually transformative experience that I think is available. And I thought I did until this experience. And I am wow. And I'm gonna be telling this story for a long time because it's wild. So for all of you that have any questions about does this sort of thing happen, which actually it does. If you Google biolocation, this has been going on since like Pythagoras supposedly did it. And it is a real thing that we all do. It's just that whole thing when you have proof, you know, when somebody else sees you doing it, that's what's so cool.
And then Shaun is going to go on to invent even more wacky out there spiritual experiences and be a trailblazer.
Oh yeah, we have to, that's why you have to learn how to press the elevator button by next year. So somebody would like to know what does Seth speak about fear? What does Seth say about fear?
Oh, that any of our thoughts, by the way, if next year at the event you see me rushing into the elevator saying, I did it, don't freak out. Just remain calm and know you're gonna have a great story to tell later. Okay. Fear. The Seth says one great thought here, let me try to say this right, is like what we think of as reality it's just our beliefs about reality. It's not reality. Notice when we're having a belief about reality as opposed to what's real. Fear is a prime example. We make up stories to make ourselves afraid. And we don't have to do that anymore. Just realize I just made up this illusion of fear. I can walk right through it. It's an illusion I made and I can unmake. Sometimes fear is a good thing. It's good to fear something that, you know that, a little common sense. It's like, I'm getting a vibe not to do that, so I won't. But most of the fear we have in our life is all make-believe. Now Seth has, again, especially in Nature of Personal Reality, like I said, I won't show you the book anymore, but Nature of Personal Reality, he gets right in there with helping us end negative thinking, beliefs, to really examine it, not just try to cover it over like, let's be positive, but say, really get deep. Where is this thought coming from? Here's how you can examine it and release it and change it. You know, and it's like, okay, if you have this fear going on, well, let's find out what let's unwrap the package. Let's explore what the meaning of it is. And then you can get even deeper, maybe into something that can take you to releasing even more negative core beliefs. So he kind of takes you on a journey of looking at your conscious mind and making the positive change, of being less fearful, being braver, being bold, like, I want to do these things with my life. Yes, let's live that way. And we can. But we got to do a little bit of work of cleansing the inner world and a little reflection and be willing to make changes, willing to make the changes in ourselves. Yeah, that's a biggie. You can do it.
That is so beautiful because so many near-death experiencers, you know, we get this glimpse of the other side and we think we know it all. We come back, you know, for whatever reason, we were forced to come back or we chose to come back. And we forget that we are here to learn, regardless of these glimmers that we've had. And that we do have these things that we came here to heal. And you just kind of pointed that out. Do you have more to say about that? Like, why do you think you were saved? And, and I think it's important, and I'm going to add actually, after you answer that, because so many people, as you know, are not saved with suicide, and they go through. And I actually had this happen in one of my Facebook groups, and it was hard because, somebody was saved from a suicide attempt. And then in another instance, the mother, she's like, my son was a really good kid and he was very loving. Why wasn't he saved?
Yeah, this gets to be the hard stuff to talk about. And it's, at best, it can be speculation. I don't have the answers for why some people live and why some people move to other dimensions. And then, but we can speculate. And I can quote a little bit of Seth where he says that as far as suicides go, no extra punishment is doled out to the suicide person. Because that was some of the really limiting beliefs we heard too. If you commit suicide, you're going to go to hell or be punished or da 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 da. No, if you live 1,000 lives, there's bound to be a few that you end by choice for whatever reasons in that way. And Seth said also that ultimately every death is a chosen death. We choose to be born and we choose to leave this reality. It's just the manner in which we leave is different for everyone. But it's hard to speak on the subject of the grieving who are left behind when anyone dies, whether it's natural causes or some kind of accident or by choice by the person who departs. So it's a hard one to talk about. And yet, as we question life itself and the meaning of it all, and as we embrace this reality and all of its complexity, we have to wonder. So don't worry if a loved one is being punished in hell because they committed suicide. No. We all get an afterlife that meets us and embraces us and loves us and helps to guide us into further growth and development. And we talked about probable realities. In this reality, I'm still pretending I'm physical and still having sunrise, sunset, days, goals, tears and laughter. I know that there's the probable reality where my life probably ended a few times in my life. There were like some accidents that happened and some other possible ways I could have exited. But that probably goes for all of us, that there were at times in everyone's life where a probable part of yourself checked out, that part of you had completed its mission and was ready to go exploring other worlds, other realities and identities. So there's a lot to wrap your head around, and it might be more refreshing to try to look at things like what Seth says, to broaden the scope of how you interpret reality as a way of healing grief. We've all lost people, but maybe they're not lost. Maybe they found other directions to go that aren't physical. And maybe if we study more about what seems to be what the greater reality really is, we got a lot of people who are witnesses in near-death experiences, a lot of channeling, a lot of UFO alien folks telling us there's a lot more going on. So maybe we don't have to grieve. Wouldn't that be something, that when a loved one leaves this dimension, our love is still with them and we trust that they're having the experience they need? And just like when I leave this dimension, when y'all leave this dimension, by the way, we're all going to leave this dimension. It's okay. It's built into the game plan here, that it's all part of a bigger unfolding of life and consciousness, and we can trust it more and work with it more, and let's find out more, because that's going to make all the difference too in how we play out our existence wherever we go.
So what about in this particular timeline, in this particular dream, the people who do go, and you've already answered this some, but I just want to make it more clear.
More clear.
So the people that do follow through with a suicide, yeah, can you talk a little bit about that? You know, many of us think everything's, you know, we don't realize what anything's for. And so in many times, those people that do follow through with a suicide and they're successful, that you've already made it clear they're not going to hell. But number two, many times they do that for us, for our learning.
Yeah.
Like it's not all what we think. And
Yeah.
sometimes they do that to help us. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. And you hear people who've had near-death experiences, and also Seth and other sources saying, no one's in isolation here. And even if you think you are, I mean, we all have thousands of people at least who know us, who interact with us one way or another, family, friends, work, the grocery store, whatever. We're all in a mesh of interactivity with other people. When any one of us pops out, it's noticed, it's felt, and it causes others to reflect. Like, I know a man, a few months ago, his grandson died. I mean, I felt it. I never knew the child, but it was like I couldn't get over the feeling that I had for the grief of, you see, I'm having emotion right now as I speak of it. And I didn't even know the person. But what I'm trying to say is the effect of when people enter this dimension and begin relating, and when people leave this dimension at whatever age, we have a profound effect on the people who know us or don't even know us. There's this extension. So what happens when someone leaves? It gives you, it, whether you want it or not, a definite time of reflection, of feeling, of pausing to think about things like life and death and love and meaning. And it helps you to reevaluate your own life and death and love and meaning and what you want to do. So with the passing of others, we reflect, or we have whatever reactions are right for each individual. So this interconnectivity we have, you know, Seth says just that it's not without meaning or purpose that we come and we go and how it affects others. And that as you were saying, Shaun, that sometimes we leave early because it's going to have an effect on the family or the whatever that's needed. And that even before a lot of us were born, there were possibilities planned out that could help affect a group of people if certain dynamics happen, certain experiences of all kinds that can help with our soul growth. This is hugely important, our soul growth, our maturity, becoming the best we can be. We have to have some of these experiences, and we have to live through and grow through some of these experiences, and we're doing it. And this system is working. And
that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And many times those people that volunteer to check out early, they're doing it for us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the effect.
Yeah.
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 And we often hear it that people might be a certain way in life until they lose a loved one, and that sends them on a spiritual journey that they would not have had if they hadn't had that terrible experience of losing a loved one, a child, a loved one, that ignites something in them to start life differently, to investigate, to learn, to reflect. That it's so jarring and painful, but it causes a like breaking out of the egg, or is a breakthrough to living differently, questioning differently. That we hear that so often, that when the loss of a loved one, the loss of anything, helps birth a new aspect of the self who's encountering the
Yeah.
the horrors sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so important. It was funny because, somebody just mentioned there should be an easier way.
Yeah, I wanted to sign up for that one.
And
But-
leading our sharing groups, I sometimes feel like so I'm sure everybody here remembers what it's like when you didn't want to go to school. I certainly
I was
did. I
right.
did not want to go to school. And so sometimes when I lead the sharing groups and it's all these near-death experiencers, it feels like a bunch of kids that got sent to school and they don't want to be here. And yeah, so it's, and anyway, so what I want to do is for you guys to start putting your questions in the chat for me to ask to Oshara. And what I do want to, and while people are putting questions, we do have some questions already. But what I want you to talk about is you really haven't talked about, do you want to add something, then I'll ask
Well,
you?
I just wanted to say I'm really enjoying this. We've been at it an hour and 15 minutes, and it just feels so good to share these things and to hear from you. And the questions are fabulous, and you're fabulous, Shaun, and Venus, and everybody there. But
Well, that's one thing that we
this.
haven't really established is the way showers and my mother and everybody.
Oh,
they're like,
yeah.
okay, these people need to meet, so we're gonna give her some
Yeah.
extra skills and him some extra skills, and we're gonna make sure that they meet. Because
And I'm sure that some of the spiritual experiences everyone has had have been carefully orchestrated by some friends in high places that are helping
yes,
produce this
yes,
production of
and
life
that is
that we're
so
hearing.
important. Is that we
Yeah.
have so much help available to us that we don't even realize, and they
And
are
that we are
orchestrating.
gathering. We are
Yes, and if we
gathering.
can just
make
get
sense
out of the
it.
way. Yeah.
And well, I don't know about getting out of the way. I have to be in the way to live my life. But
Well, no, I mean the lower self, like me.
yeah, well, what
I
I
mean
mean is that we there's yeah, I don't like the thing about me getting out of the way. It's like I'm here, but being more present, and more, we need the understanding of kind of how the spiritual communication happens. So we need to be there in order to receive the communication. And with channeling, we haven't talked about that yet.
Right, that's where I wanted to go. So I
Yeah, I
wanted to
can
go
tell,
with
yeah.
you with your personal channeling. And then, and people want to understand about Seth and how that began. So you with your personal channeling, then talk a little bit about Seth. And then you can also share just a little bit about your recommendations on channeling, which you've already shared a little bit.
Yeah.
And and would you share about who you are communicating with? You're not necessarily communicating with Seth, but you have or not. So, who is it that you're regularly communicating with and all of that? And then also, I just want to say for all the people that would like Oshara to channel now, Oshara will channel at a later date and we will make sure to make it available. But tonight, we're not going to be
committing me, aren't you? You're committing.
I am committing you and signing you up. Yes.
Oh, okay. So in the time remaining, anyway, the channeling is so important to me. As soon as I found out as a young person that channeling existed, I was like, I want that. I want to know about that. Because it's like humans are great to get information from, but I want to go to upper management. I want to go to where the folks are who really know what's going on here. I'm happy to learn from people, but I want to learn from the bigger beings. So from my teens or something, or even child, when I heard there was such a thing, I really tried to get a hold of everything I could about that topic. And I wanted to develop my abilities to channel too, because I wanted to talk to these higher beings. Anyway, Ouija board. I've talked about it before. Jane Roberts met Seth by using a Ouija board. So of course I wanted to try that too. Long story short, Ouija boards are safe. It's like prayer and just be responsible and polite, and it can be some breakthroughs for you. Many people who've developed their ability to channel use the Ouija board, including Abraham Hicks, Esther and Jerry Hicks speaking with Abraham, and others as well. And Jane Roberts. It's like you're getting the communication from an invisible someone who's helping to move the board's planchette around, spelling things out, and you start to hear it. And the board can help verify, am I getting it right? Did you say this? Yes. What did you really say? This. Okay. There can be a communication happening. And this, I was doing Ouija board work, and about 10, 12 years ago, is when these beings calling themselves the way showers came through the board, and we were communicating with them for about 4.5 months. It was fantastic. It was pure. The energy was amazing. And I've been in communication with the way showers by that name since then. The person I was working with got uncomfortable with some of the things they were saying because it was kind of outside her reference point. So she decided she wanted to be a grandmother and moved to another state anyway. So anyway, long story short, she didn't, but I'm like, we're really contacting. I have these notebooks. Oh my God, I actually brought them with me. I'm saying that because I left them here not thinking about this. I just happened to leave them here. These are the notebooks. This is so wacky. From the original Way Showers channeling 12 years ago. I typed every one of these pages, and we had about 60 something sessions in that time. And this has changed my life, was to have the Ouija board and the channeling. And she was hearing them and picking up messages. I really credit the Way Showers 12 years ago to healing the depression, to healing the suicidal. I was 52, 51 years old when this was happening with the Ouija board work and them, and they were giving us lessons on doing things in our sleep cycle. They were giving us serious, deep lessons, answering every question. And they were saying they were helping me. I was asking about the depression, and they were saying, don't do medications. Those aren't good for you. I tried that. Anyway, they said they were going to help me with that, and they were working with me in my sleep state. At the end of 4.5 months of working with them, I could not think of killing myself. It was impossible. It was the weirdest interchange. I couldn't go to the deep, dark depression. I couldn't do what happened. I was healed and cured with these higher beings, with a Ouija board, with channeling development. I'm not suicidal. I'm not depressed. This is the thing that healed me, was doing this work and having this incredible breakthrough with the Way Showers and the work they were doing with me. And here's
I just want to interject.
Yes.
Is it possible? Well, number one, I would like you to say a little bit more about not doing drugs, because
Yes.
that is controversial. I know that many people have chemical imbalances and that drugs are very important. But I know that there's also this flip side that some people like me feel like those can actually mute or muddy our connection to the other side. So so just talk a little bit more about that.
You opened up a big thing that I feel, okay, there's the so-called illegal drugs that are less and less illegal, and then there's the pharmaceuticals. Okay, people, you hear them say, let's do drugs for spiritual growth. I am so against that. I'm so against that, because we can all look around us and see people who have ruined their lives with drugs, alcohol, other addictions. It's not worth it. Listen, folks, the most natural thing in the world is to have spiritual awakening and experiences. Don't do drugs. I feel like someone from, what am I saying? I don't want to make a joke about it, but don't do drugs. Go direct to spirit. You are with spirit all the time. If you want to don't do drugs. Okay. Now with pharmaceuticals, I think there's some scam going on here, and it doesn't take too much of a stretch of the imagination. In those bad years, I went and got prescribed a variety of different antidepressants that made things much worse. So I am not for pharmaceutical antidepressant stuff, but of course there has to be some kind of a notice. She is not qualified to prescribe or consult your doctor, whatever legal thing we have to say. It's just my opinion. In my experience, it was not good for me. It did not help. And the way showers said they're not good for you. And I am healed of depression and suicidal thoughts because I was in communication with higher beings through Ouija board and learning to channel. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And everybody's going to have a different journey dealing with
it. And I kind of feel like because so many people are afraid of Ouija boards, and including myself, I was raised because my mother did not have good experiences. That's kind of important to know, to share that not all experiences are bad.
Can you imagine, like in one conversation, it's like Ouija board's good, pharmaceutical medicine bad. I must be a nutcase, but it's working for me. I mean, these are my experiences. and the thing I like to say about Ouija board work is when you pray, are you safe? Yes. So be in prayer, but just add a little board and a little plastic thing, and you're still in prayer, and you're just giving them an extra tool to help get through to you, a focus of meditation. So Ouija boards go way back with a wonderful history of positive outcomes, including developing channeling. So I'll jump into saying, like, yes, in a nutshell, the introduction happened 12 years ago with the Wayshores. Them's my gang. That's who I channel. And then 3.5 years ago, finally, after a long journey of growth and development and clearing my mind, that's what's so important with channeling, is we have to be able to really clear our mind and la. But 3.5 years ago, it began, and I've been practicing and loving it. And the energy I feel from them is just amazing. I love channeling because I can feel how wonderful they are. And they say things I could never have thought of, and I'm surprised every session. I've been doing it privately with friends, and they're saying they want to get more public, which scares the bejeebies out of me. But yeah, however that.
Well, whether you like it or not, they are forcing this.
Well, I wouldn't put it that way. It's like
they are pushing you out there, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, and I'm going to do my best. Yeah.
And you're doing amazing. You've already shown how well you can biolocate. So, so somebody brought up a very good point, and it's a friend of mine from India, that, in many religions, Hinduisms and so forth, we're not supposed to end our life by suicide. What is your thoughts, and what is Seth's thought, and what's the Wayshower's thoughts on suicide?
I think I shared as much as I could in this conversation. I didn't know we were going to be that much about that topic, but I'm really glad we are, because that really is an important topic, and to approach it like we have from so many angles and so many questions, and with respect too for the grieving and for those who are going through the pain of anyway. It's as far as religion goes, religion doesn't guide me. There's lots of religions, and they all have an opinion, and they all have limiting beliefs. And here's a sentence I made up, where it's like, sometimes you have to leave your religion to find God. And I think that's what's happening in mass. People are being naturally drawn towards spiritual awareness, which is requiring them to release the old beliefs of the religions of their birth, or where religion served a purpose of some sort. But I think in the awakening that can be happening for so many people, reality goes so much further than what can be in the confines of a religion, in religious texts or old beliefs. So we're opening whole new doors in self-awareness and God awareness and universal awareness. And nothing should be stopping us or slowing us down when it comes to that kind of vitally important spiritual growth and development. So maybe we don't need to run to religions when we can run to this higher source that so many people are identifying as a reality of love, of light, of all the good stuff. So reality's a lot better than what religions told us. So let's go for the good stuff, reality. It's really worth exploring.
So what about, you kind of talked about, we come here with a little bit of a plan of what we want to do and so forth.
And I'm not making this stuff up. I mean, we've all read about a lot of
yeah, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But we do want to hear what you have to say, and based on your experience. So, and we've already kind of established that many people do check out as part of their plan.
Yeah.
They're here to help us.
Yeah.
So many parents, they don't realize the child checked out to help them. But okay, so not necessarily, I mean, so this is kind of religion, but it's also karma and so forth. If somebody does check out early, so we've already established that they're not going to hell or whatever. But if you came here to learn certain lessons, and for whatever reason you checked out early, do you have to then, are you going to be reborn again to, if perhaps you didn't cover all those lessons in this life? Do you understand what I'm saying?
And I want to say I agree, and I'm on the same page with a lot of your beliefs or insights or impressions.
Actually, I'm just trying to formulate questions from what people have said. Yeah.
And Seth says, and I think other sources say as well, that if our life is curtailed this time around, we're going to learn. We're going to learn either in other lives. It's just like you were saying, the kid going to school. Okay, if he doesn't get his multiplication tables in this class, he'll get them in the next class.
Right.
And there's a lot of compassion and a lot of guidance for helping us learn everything we need to learn in this earth scenario and in between lives and what have you. So I don't know all the answers, but I trust that it is all working out for everybody. And it seems to be reassured in the Seth books that yes, this stuff happens. We're ready for it. Nothing's new. They know how to deal with all these situations of life's comings and goings, and that we all do want to learn everything we came here to learn, even if we have to take refresher courses sometimes, or just trust the process. It's working, and I'm doing my best to understand too. It's fun.
You're doing a wonderful job. So I'm just kind of scrolling through some of these last questions because we are going over. Forgive us.
It. Oh, I could stay here all night with you guys.
I could too. Well, we've already proven that you and I can talk forever together.
And with the channeling, like I said, I think everyone is a channel, and it'll take a different form for different people. Some people channel art, some people channel good parenting, some people channel healing energies. So I kind of like the feeling of there's these wonderful beings that are saying things through me and developing that. But I think we're going to be moving into a society where everybody is there's more to them that is able to come through everyone, that everything will be able to flow. Okay, Seth said that by 2075, we're going to be living in a completely different sense of a collective reality here because of our spiritual growth. And I feel like that is definitely happening. He made a prediction in the early 70s, about 100 years. He never made predictions. It was very rare for him to do that. But he said, like, in the next 100 years, our spiritual conscious development will be like, we won't even It would seem like we became a different species practically because and it's 50 years since he said that and 50 years to go. We have changed so dramatically and grown, and we are more loving. I don't care what the news media wants to make of us. We're a more loving, more conscious, more spiritually aware, more caring bunch of people. And it's only going to keep getting better. And he said, we're going to change our social structures. Of course, as our spirit changes, we're going to change the physical world for the better. So this is what I'm really looking forward to. And I swear I'm going to live to be 120 so that I can see all this stuff happen up close and personal. Because this is the time we came here for, folks. It's getting good. And it's
so I do want to.
Yes.
So so a lot, I shouldn't say a lot, but many mediums like to say, oh, this is something only I can do. What do you think? Do you think we're all capable of channeling and hearing from the other side?
Run like hell from anyone who would say such a thing. That they have such a narcissistic, psychopathic behavior like that. Get away from these people. One thing I noticed, if someone has a true near-death experience or true spiritual experience, they cannot be an arrogant bastard anymore. They cannot be egotistical because they realize the oneness. They realize we're part of each other. You can't be an ego shitbag after a true spiritual experience because you realize the love and how we're part of each other. So anyone who says, I'm the best, only I can be this kind of channel medium and, spiritual superiority trips, watch out for those people. That's bogus. No, because we are made of spirit, because we are made of soul, we all have the same potential as anyone else to do and be anything. We really are that powerful. We can do and be anything because we are made of soul stuff that's pretty special. So
Thank you. That's that, and that is so important. Okay, so another question. So how do you know that who you're channeling is of the light?
Well, first
Yeah.
just keep on saying that. That was my thing. I call upon the highest love and the highest light to be with me now. This is my prayer always. Call and say the prayers too. Again, I keep saying it's a prayer. So find the words for your own prayers. And the thing is, it feels like home. For me, it feels so good. It feels like the oldest trend in the universe. It feels so familiar. It feels like love. So, and I know the difference. I know what doesn't feel good. So, and one thing I get too from the soul experience I've been on is it's not about think. It's about feeling. The soul energy isn't about braining. There's a feeling. Of course, they use the brain for language and whatever, but it feels like such love. So yeah, if your intention is good, you're going to get good. And it's good that it sounds that simple because it really is. Yeah. Trust that.
So yeah, and I love what you said. Get out of the head into the heart, because so many people they're in the head, and they don't realize that it's the heart, and that they speak to us through the heart.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Almost we're so used to head and heart. There's something else going on with I can always say feeling, energy, frequency, energy, love, frequency, energy, heart. Yeah. You gotta experience it. Yeah.
So before I forget this, do you want to briefly mention your top Seth books?
Cuddling my book.
So that people can, if you're interested in Seth and you don't know Seth.
It's kind of neat having the special effects wobbling. I want to say something else too. For people, reading is great, but if you want the books read to you, there is a guy on YouTube. His name is Tim Hart on YouTube. He's read most of the books for free, posted it online. His voice is beautiful, and because it's YouTube, you can speed it up or slow it down or pause it or whatever. And I got it written down here. Hold on. I'm sorry. Does this come? There he is. Tim Hart, YouTube, Hart. So if you want to hear the Seth books read to you like a bedtime story, that's great. Tim Hart on YouTube. Is this backwards? It's showing me.
No, it's perfect.
Okay.
You know, and also later you can go into the Hawaiian IANDS, the replay of this, and you can actually put the link. Yeah, you can put the link.
And also I have everything.
Pull it back by your face. Pull it back by your face. Down by your chin. Wait.
Darn it. Well,
no,
what
below you, because
there we go.
There you go. That works.
This is how to contact us. That's go to our website, thesethhouse.org. You can see, like, I have all this special tech stuff here with pen and paper. Okay, thesethhouse.org is our website. You can email us at info@thesethhouse.org. And we have a great Facebook page where every day people are posting Seth quotes and talking. Facebook page is The Seth House Discussion Group. The Seth House Discussion Group. So if you want to find out more about Seth House, well, look for the Seth House. It's everywhere. So join us.
And I'm actually putting all those links in the chat. So
join us.
So everybody, you can click on these links. We will also put them in the, but I just stuck all the links, all your links.
You're a hero. You're a champ. And I want to really invite people to find out more about Seth. And the Seth House is becoming a really important place for all things Seth. And we invite people in to volunteer and to help us with some more tech stuff. I don't have all the tech skills in the world. We could really use some more help with tech and video and our YouTube and our different things. I think could use a little refresher, our website even.
You're doing great. We'll fix all that. Don't worry about that.
And of course we need donations. You know, if we could have money to buy more things and to pay the bills every month, that's wonderful. We want to be adopted by rich people. Like every nonprofit organization, please adopt me and be part of the Seth sharing of information. Give money to Shaun too. Donate money to Shaun's IANDS thing, because this is how he can afford to do this magic he is doing for free, is if we, hand him some money. So there's ways to pay him, there's ways to pay us, and aren't we blessed that we can all help each other in this reality?
Oh, we're so blessed. And we're gonna do something live from the Seth House, which will be really fun.
Oh, yeah, you gotta come visit. You gotta come visit here.
Of course, yeah.
And you asked me too. It's like Seth Speaks, Nature of Personal Reality, and also a book called The Seth Material. Those 3 books, get started on those. The Seth Material is what Jane wrote, explaining what she was going through with her development and channeling and all these experiences. So Seth Material, and she has tons of quotes from Seth. So those 3 books, if you read those 3 books, everything will change. And you can hear Tim Hart read them to you online and feel good. Okay.
So let's, what I would like is a couple of final messages, since we've gone over. So it is so your story.
It's a timeless universe. Remember, it's a timeless universe. So let's keep talking.
Yeah. Nobody needs to go to sleep. So, I think what is so important is there are so many people struggling with suicidal thoughts. I would like a message to them. Also, so there are so many people that have lost a loved one to suicide. I think it is the number one thing that people ask about in my Facebook groups, which we're now like about 500,000 people. And so many people are concerned with what happened to my loved one that committed suicide. So if you could impart, you've done so much wisdom, but your closing thoughts about that, about people struggling with suicidal thoughts and people who have had a loved one that have committed suicide. What could you say to them?
I don't know why this is popping in my mind right now, but if you're suicidal, it's because you're brilliant, you're intelligent, you're asking deep philosophical questions that don't have an answer or have painful answers. So you're a genius if you're suicidal. So give yourself credit for that you are asking deep, profound, painful questions and you're looking at things that hurt. And you're a sensitive, loving person. You want more love in your life or love in the world. And it hurts to see this lack of love happening here. So you're a loving person. You're a genius. We need you here. God damn it. We need people who are loving and who are brilliant and intelligent and have these feelings and insights about life and want to see the world be a better place. We need you here. Don't die. Stay here. Yes, it's rough. Yes, it's tough. No one's going to question that assessment you're making. It hurts here. It does hurt. And stay. Just brave it out, because we need what you have to give. We need you here. That's why you're here. And you'll get through this. You're going to keep getting stronger. You're going to keep getting smarter and more loving, and bring your gifts. And maybe it's all confusing and it doesn't make sense right now, but it will. Stay focused in this reality. Cry out to God, cry out to the angels. Believe in yourself. There's something so beautiful that you're made of. Stay with us. Help us out. We need you. You've got this beauty, and this is why it's so hard to be here for you. But it's this beauty that you brought with you that we need. So stay here and work it out, and it's going to make sense. It will make sense. Please stay here and keep growing and keep developing and keep being beautiful and keep manifesting here. It's all going to make sense. It's going to work. So just stick around, pal. It'll all be worth it. You're going to see the coolest things happening in this reality. Stay tuned. It just keeps getting better. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. And what about for the family member who their loved one committed suicide? What do you have to say to that?
Love again. Love again. Love again. Keep loving. You're growing in love. Okay, you lost a loved one. You didn't lose them. Yes, they're alive. You know how this works. There's life after life after life after life. And at every train stop, someone gets off the train and some new people get on. If someone who was your focus of love has left this dimension, got off at the train stop because that was their stop, fine. You continue and you're going to find more people to love. Keep being more loving. Don't say, I lost that love, I'll never love again. Fuck you. Fuck you for thinking that. You have got to love again. It is your duty, your right, your responsibility. We need you to be loving. So a physical person left this reality who you loved. Love more. Love again. Keep loving and loving and loving. This makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Well, it's true.
Yes. Yes.
Love some
Thank
more.
you.
Just love some more. Keep loving them wherever they went. They're fine. They love you. You know, you're here. But keep loving in this reality. We need your love in this reality.
And they are supporting us from the other side.
Yeah. So
they didn't leave us. They did not leave us. They are still with us from the other side.
Love is eternal. And what they would want for you is to be loving. But what you need to do, you came to this reality to give your love. You're not off the hook yet. Keep loving, love more, love lavishly. You're doing wonderful. You're made of love. So
beautiful. Thank you so much. And you know, if your questions weren't answered, go ahead, and if you go to the Hawaiian IANDS Facebook group, you can go back to the replay and stick your questions in there, and I will make sure that Oshara goes in to the chat and answers questions. You know, if you didn't get your,
he's committing me to things I didn't agree to, but I'm like just suckered right into his reality.
That's right. Sure. Yes.
Sounds good. Sign me up.
That's Coach. Right. So she will answer your questions. And also, and Oshara and I will be doing a channeling session, which we will share with you all. And you can hear more of the wisdom that comes through this beautiful lady.
Where does this guy get this stuff? I
ask the way showers. They made sure that we met. So yeah. So again, sure. I want to thank you, Oshara. I am so beyond blessed that we got to meet.
Oh my God, I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, it's like I knew you forever. I didn't know I knew you forever until now.
Oh,
And
so good.
I just love that you all were able to join us, and you're going to hear so much more from Oshara. Please check out the sethhouse.org. And yeah, and so people, of course, are asking for you to channel tonight, but I promise you, she will be channeling. You will all be included in that. And yeah, because we have a lot of information to ask the way showers about. Yeah. So do you have any closing thoughts? And then
Yeah,
we'll
with the way showers, it's like I have to remind myself I don't have to do anything, because sometimes they're, oh, this it's like, well, oh, wait a minute, I do nothing. I just show up, sit down, and they do the work, and I'm surprised every time what they say. So that's right, no pressure. It's all on them. So yeah, no pressure. I just sit, they do the thing. That's how it should be. Okay, great. What are you saying? You're announcing all this stuff, and I'm for it. This is great. Okay, well, whatever you say, Chief. You're fantastic.
Yes. You have a lot of work to do, and this is just the beginning. So again, thank you so much, Oshara, and thank you for everybody.
And all of you. Thank you, all of you. I love
us.
the energy that we're sharing. Life eternal.
Yes.
God, these are wonderful people.
Yeah, I love you all, and I'm so glad that I got to meet many of you at the conference. And hopefully next year, if this is an ad for the conference, to sign up, come next year, and maybe Oshara will finally be pushing elevator buttons, and
we'll have a workshop on this. We'll have a
yeah. So again, thank you all so much, and have a wonderful evening, and aloha to you all. I am so grateful.
Shaun, you are awesome. I love you, and thank you, and more magic to come. And for all of you, magic. Life is magic. Love you.
Love you all. Aloha.